as newlyweds in 1865, as well as the Countess's parents, Wilhelm Kemp, top right, and Johanna Kemp, neighborless, top left. These portraits were painted by the Franco-Hungarian artist Edward Buttibon. The staircase itself is loosely based on the Baroque western stairs at the Royal Palace in Stockholm, and its walls are partly lined with Swedish green marble and French yellow marble. A special feature of the house is the quality of the materials used, as well as the high standard of craftsmanship. The architect was not hampered by any The dining room. The early Baroque-style dining room was designed by one of I.G. Claesson's assisting architects, Ragnar Östberg, who in later years was to gain international fame as the architect of Stockholm City Hall. The room is completely panelled in oak, partly black bog oak. Over the double doors is the Hallwyl coat of arms, two eagle's wings set against a gold background. The family motto was "Swift like the eagle and pure as gold." The overmantel was painted by Julius Kronberg in 1896 and represents Diana the Huntress. The magnificent chandelier dates from 1673 and hung originally in Hedvig Eleonora Church in Stockholm. The Countess bought it at auction in 1893 and had it converted for electricity, like all antique chandeliers in the house. Hallwyl House was one of the first domestic buildings in the country to have electric lighting in every room. The sideboard is Swiss and dates from circa 1600, as does the German chest by the window, while the dining table and chairs were made in Stockholm in 1897 by the cabinet maker C.H. Benkert. The table was awarded a gold medal at the Stockholm exhibition of 1897. The verdure tapestries were probably made in the north of France in the early 18th century, but the one The morning room. The morning room would have been in daily use. This is where the Countess received callers and attended to her correspondence. There are a number of family portraits painted by Julius Kronberg in the 1890s. To the left of the doors leading to the armory is the Count. Over the mantelpiece, the eldest daughter, Ebba von Eckermann, and to the left of the doors to the great drawing room, the second daughter, Ellen de Marais. The Countess's dowager mother, Mrs. Kemp, can be seen in a portrait to the right of the doors to the vestibule. Other portraits in the room of grandchildren, great-grandchildren and sons-in-law were painted by Nils Asplund in the 1910s and 1920s. The ceiling was painted by Julius Kronberg in 1918. It was to be his last major work. The scene is from Greek mythology, Perseus liberating Andromeda. The splendid chandelier, in the Empire style and made in France circa 1820, was once owned by the Swedish Queen Desiree. By the window is the Countess's circa 1700 Swedish knee-hole desk. The armory. The armory contains the main part of the Countess's wide-ranging collection of antique weapons and armor. The room is panelled largely in oak, and the parquet floor has inlaid work forming the signs of the zodiac. On the east wall hangs 2 Ottoman suits of armor dating from the 15th century. Below are 2 German late 16th and early 17th century suits, flanking a saddle that is said to have belonged to Johan Bernér, Swedish commander during the 30 Years' War. On the south wall are some fine examples of 16th to 18th century sporting guns, and to the left of the double doors, pistols, including a pair of Dutch ivory-stocked flintlock pistols made in Maastricht circa 1670. On the central table can be seen a later pair of decorated flintlock pistols with walnut stocks and mounts of chiseled silver. These pistols are traditionally said to have been a gift in the 18th century from the Polish King Stanislaus Leszczyński to Frederick the Great of Prussia. There are many swords of different types and periods, swept-hilt rapiers to the right of the double doors, executioner's swords with blunted points to the right of the window, and elegant court swords on the east wall, to name a few. 2 separate sets of secondary stairs lead off the armory. Behind a door in the southeast corner, stairs lead to the ground floor office. The smoking room. The male domain in the house consists of 3 rooms: smoking room, armory and billiard room. The smoking room was, in fact, also used as a family sitting room, where the Count, the Countess and her companion, a German lady, Fräulein Use, would have coffee after dinner and play a hand of cards. By the window is the Count's writing desk, preserved as it was in 1921, the year of his death at the age of 82. The waste paper basket still has its contents. The room is an unmistakable example of late 19th century interior design. There are a multitude of furniture, paintings and decorative objects. The set of comfortable seat furniture bought in Berlin in 1893 is partly upholstered with carpets and storage bags from Turkmenistan. The reuse of oriental textiles as furnishing panels for chairs and sofas was common practice in the late 19th century, and smoking rooms in particular were often done in the Moorish taste. There are also some fine pieces of 17th century furniture, notably a German cabinet on stand made of tortoiseshell and ebony, and an English Charles II walnut table with twist legs and floral marquetry. Above the sofa hangs Returning from the Hunt, 1651, an unusually large painting by the Dutch artist Abraham Hondius. The Great Drawing Room. The principal reception room in the house, the Great Drawing Room was not used on a daily basis, but provided a sumptuous setting for festive occasions, such as dinner parties, musical evenings and balls. The room, in exuberant late Baroque style, was designed to accommodate the 16th century Brussels tapestries depicting Ulysses and Nausicaa. Remarkably, the Countess was able to acquire a complete set of 6 of these tapestries in 1894. The remaining 2 can be seen in the small drawing room. The artist Julius Kronberg, who contributed to nearly every room on the principal floor, painted an open-air concert for the central panel of the ceiling in 1898. The chimney piece in this room is made of Belgian marble, Rouge Royale. No 2 chimney pieces in the house are identical. Each was individually designed by the architect. The fireplaces were, however, never used, as an up-to-date central heating system was installed at the outset. In the corners of the room can be seen, behind ornamental grills, the outlets for the ducted hot air. The Carrara marble relief over the chimneypiece, Prometheus bringing fire to the mortals, is the work of the Swedish sculptor Gusten Lindberg. The overdoors, representing music, poesy and the formative arts, were also made by Lindberg. The seat furniture, gilded and reupholstered in the 1890s, is Swedish and date from the mid-18th century, while the tables are earlier, about 1700. The ornate, circa 1775, glass-fronted cabinet has remarkable provenance. The papal coat of arms on the crest reveals that its first owner was Pius VI of the Brasky family. The boudoir. The social purpose of this room, also known as the small drawing room, was that of a withdrawing room, where the ladies could retire after a formal dinner. Hence the style of the room. The curvaceous Rococo style was in the late 19th century considered particularly feminine and suitable for elegant drawing rooms. Largely panelled in elm, the room is closely based on a 1760s interior in the manor house at Äs, south of Stockholm, one of the family's many country homes. The rounded corners have exquisite marquetry decorations by the firm of Bencket, made up of no less than 42 different woods. The late 17th century painting installed on the ceiling was bought from a house in the Old Town in 1900 and is believed to be from the studio of the court painter David Klöcker Ehrenstrahl. The subject of the painting is Aurora, goddess of dawn. The overdoor, above the double doors, Venus in her chariot, was painted by Julius Kronberg in 1898. The room was given mainly 18th century French furniture, but the commode is Italian and the large cabinet probably Dutch. The 18th century chandelier was brought from Voxna Manor, another country house owned by the family. The billiard room. The billiard room, in Renaissance Baroque style, has high-quality walnut paneling and a deeply coffered ceiling with pendants. The paneling features carved shields with the heraldic emblems of women married into the Hallwyl family through the centuries. The four decorative panels over the bench seat represent the cardinal virtues. The wall coverings above the paneling are gilt and embossed leather, dating probably from the late 17th century. On the east wall, facing the windows, is a painting, Pomona, by Franz Floris, dated 1564. It was brought to Sweden as war booty from Prague in 1648 and was at one time owned by Queen Christina. To the right of the door to the porcelain room is a French circa 1640 cabinet, made of ebony and pearwood. The carvings on the doors depict the Judgment of Paris. The billiard table was designed by the architect, and the 6 17th century chairs have seats woven in haute lisse by the Textile Arts and Crafts Association, founded in 1874, to designs by Kerstin Claesson, the architect's wife. The porcelain room. This small, purpose-built room is devoted to the collection of European porcelain. The collection consists of more than 500 pieces, and nearly every leading 18th and early 19th century maker is represented, including Meissen, Sèvres and Wedgwood. The Meissen equestrian figure on the central table, the Empress Elizabeth of Russia on horseback, was modeled by Johann Joachim Kendler in 1748. The room is panelled in maple with gilt bronze metalwork and has an elaborate inlaid floor of different coloured woods. The ceiling was painted by Nils Asplund, a pupil of Julius Kronberg, in emulation of ceilings at Tessin House in Stockholm, built in the 1690s. Now walk back through the billiard room and armory and turn right into the morning room. was formed in 1911 from a passage and a footman's bedroom to house the Countess's collection of Oriental, mainly Chinese artifacts. The Countess's initial purchases reflect the general taste among late 19th century collectors, as she favored objects from the 18th century Qianlong period. Later, however, her tastes broadened to include Kangxi and Ming porcelain, and in the 1920s she became one of the first collectors to interest herself in early Chinese ceramics and bronzes. In the lower part of the room, 18th century Chinese exportware porcelain can be seen in the vitrines opposite the window. In the right vitrine, on the second shelf from the top, is a unique service commissioned by the Swedish king Gustavus III to commemorate his so-called unbloody revolution of 1772. There is also one cup and a saucer decorated with a simple flower made for Linnaeus, the botanist. In the glass-topped table is an important collection of Chinese and Korean bronze mirrors. The Chinese examples date from between the 4th century BC and the 3rd century AD, many of them being from the Han dynasty, whereas the Korean mirrors are later in date, from the Korai period. The backs of these metal mirrors, shown facing upwards, are decorated with various symbols and inscriptions, whereas the front is flat, originally polished metal. In the upper part of the room are the early Chinese ceramics from the Zhou, Han, Song and Tang dynasties. One of the oldest items can be seen in the center vitrine on the north wall facing the steps, a tripod cooking vessel dating from between 900 and 600 BC. In the vitrine to the right is a small Song bowl with a rare reddish glaze. In the table can be seen more examples of Chinese bronzes of various types, such as arms, implements, horse and chariot trappings. The Countess bought these bronzes from the Swedish engineer and China scholar Orvar Karlbeck in 1922. She was one of the first collectors to acquire such objects. Decorated in 1905 by the artist Nils Asplund. Note also the way in which the pictures are arranged. The close, symmetrical hang has remained unchanged and is typical of the period. For her art collection, the Countess favoured mainly Dutch and Flemish works of the 16th and 17th centuries, much in vogue among collectors at the turn of the century. She aimed at amassing a wide variety of great masters as well as minor artists. All manner of subjects are represented, and the collection, consisting of some 160 pictures, is one of the largest and most important in the country. The paintings were largely acquired through the agency of the studio art dealer Swiss over a period of only 2 years, beginning of the 20th century. The following pictures are most noteworthy. On the north wall, on the narrow section below the entrance doorway, are two paintings by the German 16th century artist Lucas Kramer. They represent Venus and Christ in limbo. To the left of the steps is a Dutch landscape painting depicting cornfields and a leaden sky. The picture was painted in 1648 by Salomon van Porcelain, who specialized in such quiet landscapes with a low base. Near the center of the north wall is a small painting by Adrian Hallwyl in the draper's shop. Hallwyl was Dutch, was employed in Vienna as field painter between 1668 and 1694. In the draper's shop is the only known painting by the artist. The seemingly mundane scene from the draper's shop carries an ambiguous moralizing message, which is quite typical of so-called genre painting. On the far left of the wall, by the corner, is Franz Flores's Venus and Cupid. Flores was a prolific artist in 16th century Flanders, but only a few original works